Welcome back to the podcast where we ask the question, what makes you happy? My name is Jake Pearson, and today we have with us a podcaster and an international speaker. We have Maura Sweeney from Florida, USA. Maura, how are you?
I'm great, Jake. Nice to see you, and thanks for having me on today.
Nice to see you too, and an absolute pleasure to hear all things that make you happy. Before we get started, I understand that you're the trademarked ambassador of happiness. Could you explain what that means?
You know what? Since I was little, I was always looking to be happy, not like the world was, but literally to have a happy heart, happy soul, have peace within me. And when I got older, I started writing and podcasting and speaking upon about that topic. And as it turns out, I was invited to speak at the inaugural Nelson Mandela Day celebrations a couple of years ago. They had a lot of dignitaries there, and they wanted to know what my title was. I said, I don't have a title. I just write and I talk about happiness. And they said, well, we're going to give you one. We'll call you the ambassador of happiness. And because I traveled a lot, people said, Maura, that fits you perfectly. And somebody else said later on, you need to trademark the title, which I did. And the interesting thing is, speaking overseas, I am routinely introduced, whether it's by papers, or years ago they used to use newspapers and other media outlets, as the ambassador of happiness from the United States. And I thought, how cute is that? And it was kind of self-made, self-generated, all from childhood onward.
I really love how that's just come about from an interest to one day an opportunity just presented itself and it fell in your lap and it just fit really well, didn't it?
It did. And it's funny, you say interest. I would almost say it like a lifelong interest and passion, where it's almost like following an internal guidance system that always was helping me find what makes me happy, not trying to conform to the world, but just making me be happy in my own skin, doing what I like and being with people I enjoy.
Well, let's segue from that into what does make you happy.
Well, since you heard it's living happy from the inside out, I one of the biggest and most helpful things about being happy is making sure I take a little bit of time every day for myself, usually in the morning and then again at night, but typically in the morning, because we could get off on a day and then have all kinds of information that attacks us, or we could be a little bit quiet, reflective, which is what I love to do. I always have a journal nearby, and I think about those kinds of things that are important to me, that are important to where I want to see the day go, who I'm going to be spending time with, what those thoughts are that I want to be able to share. And it's almost like I create my own um, energy force. That's what I'm going to call it. And I find that that's one of the main things that makes me happy, because I control the happiness within me rather than being controlled by everything on the outside.
And it's so important that you mention that you control your happiness because a lot of people don't feel like they can control their happiness at the stage of the life they're in. And I'm very fortunate to have realized that I feel in control of what makes me happy and that I'm no longer grasping at other people's opinions of me to help validate my own happiness and self-worth. But what would you say to our audience who are struggling to find happiness in their lives?
Mm. In addition to just finding a little bit of time every day to say, all right, what are these things and what are the places in my life where I feel at peace, at rest? And here's another word, creative. Do you realize when we feel happy, there's like creative juices that come out of us where we do things that are important to us, we generate new things, we feel free to try new things that we wouldn't in an environment maybe where we're not always accepted or people are judging us. And so that's what I always find so helpful about thinking about happiness from the inside. I'll say one other thing. Who are the people that you hang out with? And do you make time to be around people that have healthy relationships where there's no agenda, there's little to no drama, and everybody is equally supportive of everybody else's best self? And I think that that is one of the most important things we could ever do in life to help generate that sense of happiness and well being. And while we're at it, we end up doing it for the rest of the world as well.
I really resonate with everything you said there, and I'm so glad that we got this opportunity to sit down and record this. Thank you so much for sharing all things that make you happy.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. We hope it gives you something to think about on your quest to discover what makes you happy. Make sure to check out whatmakesyyouhappypodcast.com to connect with today's guest and follow us on all our social media platforms and to stay up to date at what's happening next at What Makes You Happy. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend, and we'll see you next time.